Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Winners and Winers Radio. How you guys doing? I hope you're doing well, having a great week. I am your host, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper over at winnersandwiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over at winnersandwiners.com.
And together, we make up Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour. We'll give you the winners. We're going to be handing them out like Halloween candy today, Scotty. Well, how'd you end up yesterday? How'd you do?
Did well. I won my play of the day pretty easily. Ended up having the Pirates team total under 3.5. They had 2 hits. Cardinals won 4-0. Wainwright had 88 pitch shutout. That's impressive.
That is impressive. That's absolutely impressive, and especially since I think Adam Wainwright is 57 years old. So that
yes, you round that down, you get 39, but he's 57.
Even more impressive. Nicely done, sir. Nicely done indeed. I got a couple of bad whomps as I had the carryover. I had the Washington Nationals getting a nice solid price against the Mets. They had a 4-1 lead when the heavens opened up, and then it went downhill from there as the Mets ended up scoring 2 in the bottom of the 8th to beat me by a run. And then, not to be outdone, I had the Cincinnati Reds as a slight underdog in a game I really like with Wade Miley, who was terrible. They were able to fight all the way back, take the lead in the top of the 11th, only to get 2 outs in the bottom of the 11th and give up a 3-run home run. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. So not even the run line would have been good there. But, hey, I think we were getting ahead of ourselves because that's how bad Call the Cops is today. That game didn't even make it. Well, it did, but not for that reason. So, you know what? Before I give too much away, Scott, let's just get right to it. Let's talk about the people like me who took it in the shorts today, thought they had a winner, like me, and then all of a sudden they didn't. You know what I'm going to do, Scott? I'm getting on my phone right now and calling the cops. All right, so we will start off in a game, surprisingly, I didn't have. This is the Yankees team total over 5.5 against the Royals, a little businessman special afternoon game. Yankees all over the Royals early, scored 5 runs in the first 4 innings. And then that exquisite Royals bullpen came in and shut them down. The Yankees scored nothing, not a run for the final 5 innings. They win 5-2 because, you know, Royals, but they don't go over 5.5. And if you have the Yankees team total over 5.5, maybe even a live play, Yankees over 7.5, something like that. Yeah, they were all no good. You should all call the cops.
And the second one was in Summer League basketball. If you had the Grizzlies on the money line taking on the Heat, you were in good shape. Grizzlies led by 11 points at halftime, led by 8 points going into the fourth quarter, led by 2 points with less than 6 seconds left in regulation and overtime, lost by 3 in double overtime. And the reason why that's even worse is because they didn't even play 5 minutes for double overtime. If you did not know, the double overtime rule for Summer League basketball is sudden death. You do a jump ball, and the first team to score wins. Miami won the jump, hit a 3-pointer about 5 seconds later, and you're going to rip up your Grizzlies ticket.
You know, here's the thing. I don't know why they don't make it like the NFL, where if somebody goes down and hits a 3-pointer, the other team at least has a chance to tie it. I think it should be the first unanswered basket.
I don't know why they can't just play for a minute.
Ooh, that'd be something, wouldn't it? Because you don't want Summer League games to go 3.5 hours, I would guess.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, if you did not know the rule and you were actually watching Summer League basketball, because I'm sure somebody decided to place their first ever Summer League bet on some afternoon Summer League basketball and saw the double overtime and thought, I got another 5 minutes. And then you realize, wait, why is the clock not running? Wait, why is the game over? And they just lost all their money.
All right, Scott, the last game, this is so we meet again, Reds-Braves. If you had the Reds-Braves under 9.5, you can arguably say you took a worse beat than I did with the side on the Reds because they had, as I mentioned, they had an early 5-0 lead. The Reds chipped it away. They finally got it back to 3 runs. It was 5-3 after 8 innings. And the Reds, there's no die in this team. There's no quit in this team, Scott. They scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th, send the game into extra innings. As I believe I mentioned previously, it did not go well in extra innings for the Reds as they end up losing 8-6. But by then you were far removed from that game. You'd probably turned it off, thrown something to get the TV because that 9.5 was long gone, and you should call the cops.
So I know that the Reds aren't going to make the playoffs most likely. And I know that in order to actually make the playoffs, you're going to need a team like Milwaukee to fall apart. Does Votto have any shot at some NL MVP consideration just because of how good he's been? I know the answer is probably no, because people keep talking about Harper, especially with Tatis being injured and DeGrom, of course, being out for arguably the rest of the year. Does Votto have any shot? Because he's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I was trying to see if there's a price on. It looks like they've got him down for the games. I was hoping that.
I don't think he's going to win, but this second half is historic. At least it feels that way, doesn't it?
He's having a very good half a year. I don't know if he's going to be able to overtake Harper, but Harper's a streaky guy too. So
Philly might not make the playoffs either. So can you make a case if Tatis hypothetically either A, doesn't play well when he comes back, or B, maybe he's out a little bit longer and Harper misses the playoffs? Does Votto have a shot? Like, I'm really curious what the value is there because he hits a home run almost every day.
You know what? I'm looking at odds that were actually updated on the 10th, and it shows Votto at 80-1, sir.
That sounds like that's way too high based on.
Excuse me. You can get 70-1 or 80-1. Yeah, depending on.
Yeah, he's been a little bit too good at the plate to be at 70-1 right now.
Agreed.
That feels like 20-1, 15-1.
I agree. I think there's definitely some value there.
But anyway, I was segueing. I just thought that was worth talking about because Votto did everything for Cincinnati yesterday.
You had an honorable mention, Scott, that just made me laugh in the blowout.
Oh, honorable mention here with the Tampa Bay Rays on the team total over.
My favorite.
I believe it was 4.5. It could have potentially been 5, but I doubt it because Boston was favored. But they were down 20-1. That's right, 20-1 going into the 9th inning.
Never say die.
So they had 1 run through 8 innings, and somebody was watching it with over 4.5.
They were.
Tampa had nothing to play for except for pride and for that guy's bet because Tampa scored 7 runs, 7 meaningless runs in the 9th inning to lose the game 20-8.
You know why I can laugh, Scott? Because I didn't have that bet. That's absolutely brutal. Do you think there was anybody in Tampa that, well, if we can get a couple more guys on, do you think there was anybody that was thinking they were like going to come back?
I'm assuming that half of the fans at Tropicana probably had money on the game because nobody goes to Tropicana.
Nobody stops at the Trop.
Again, of course, the game was in Boston, I believe. So I'm guessing if anyone did actually have bets on that, probably wasn't many in Fenway Park.
No, probably not that way. So usually we struggle to come up with 3 call of the cops. A lot of times the games go kind of, the way you think there's a blowout, blah, blah, blah. But today we had our choice, Scott. We had a plethora of games to choose from. But let's go to the other part, Scott. Let's go to the good news. Let's go to the yin to the yang, if you will. These are the nice, easy victories, the ones where you got to chill and take it easy because why? You were sitting in the rocking chair.
So the first one was the game I just talked about. If you had the Red Sox on the money line, that was easy. Led 5-0 after the second inning. Led 10-0 after the 4th inning. Wait a minute, I have 10. Let me double down on that. They ended up with 20. Won the game 20-8.
It's one of those math things. Can you spot the pattern?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can. 5-0 after 2, 10-0 after 4, 20 after. I just wish they'd have played more innings.
Yep.
Hey, how about Brewers Cubs? First 5 over 5.5. Brewers made an early night for you. They scored 7 runs in the top of the first. 8-0 after 5 innings. Hey, no problem at all. Thanks for playing. We'll see you next time.
And the last one was a day game between the Marlins and the Padres. If you had the Marlins on the money line, plus 145. Alcantara was fantastic, and Miami's offense was pretty solid for once as well. We mentioned once every 3 weeks they score 7 runs, and they scored 7 runs yesterday, and they gave up none. So that was a nice, easy winner for Marlins bettors.
By the way, anybody that was on that at plus 145, you're welcome because I did not play it. And Sandy Alcantara is one of those guys that just seems to only pitch terribly when I back him. So you're welcome, America. All right, Scott. Oh, man. I never have ever wanted to have a TV show more than I do right now, because no matter how we do this, we cannot do them justice. We absolutely cannot. Some days there are many competitors for Donkey of the Day. Scott and I have to spend some time and narrow it down and come up with our favorite. Not today. As soon as I sent this to him, Scott knew exactly that it was going to be the Donkey of the Day. So without further ado, let's find out who's putting on the golden feed bag today, Scott. Who's it going to be? Donkey of the Day. All right.
You want to do the honors today? You found it, so I figured I'd let you do the honors.
All right. Well, I came across, Scott, the Nebraska football jersey that they're going to wear one time this season. I don't remember who they're going to wear it against. Do you know what
I'm checking right now, but
it's okay. If you've ever seen their mascot and what he's wearing, Lil Red is his name.
It's against Oklahoma on September 18th.
Of course it is, because
when you lose by 60, you better look the part.
Is Oklahoma going to be wearing gingham jerseys? Or anyway, so Lil Red, he looks like Bob's Big Boy without the hat or the platter of hamburgers. Other than that, it's pretty much Bob's Big Boy. Would you agree, Scott?
Yeah, sounds like a good comparison.
Oh, he has red suspenders. And what they've done with the Nebraska uniforms is they have given them red uniform, but it looks like they're actually wearing suspenders. It looks like they're wearing nighttime jammies. I don't know.
It's painted on overalls. It's basically what it is.
It's what it is. It's like the tuxedo shirts, only with overalls. It's a tribute to Lil Red. And my goodness, are they getting roasted on social media? You know me, Scott, I'm not a big social media guy. I usually don't jump on the pile, but this case, it was well-deserved. You've got to see them. Google Nebraska uniforms. I promise it'll come up, and I promise you will laugh. So, Scott, let's do one more segment here. This was one that definitely caught both of our attention, and we want to find out what was up, because it would appear, Scott, that the Oddsmakers were drunk. What do you got, big guy?
So we're going to look at a matchup that happened between the Orioles and the Tigers. And, of course, I liked the Tigers 2 days ago, and the odds didn't really change. Orioles open up at a pick'em at around minus 105 or minus 110 with Harvey on the mound against Skubal. And the issue with that is that Baltimore had lost each of their last 6 games by at least 3 runs.
That's not good. And yet
they were still a pick'em against Detroit. Now, of course, money came in on Detroit. Detroit closed at around minus 120. But you're going to open up Baltimore at a pick'em. Yeah, of course they lost by 3 runs. Why wouldn't they lose by 3 runs? I don't know what the Oddsmakers were thinking.
They were drunk. They were absolutely had to be drunk, Scott.
I had Detroit.
Yeah, that was a good play. Skubal. I think we've talked before. I think that Detroit staff
underrated.
I think they're gonna, and I think they're only going to get better going forward.
Who was also barely pitched this season?
No.
Matthew Boyd.
That's right.
And he was one of their best starters going into the year.
Yeah, he's been on the shelf for a few months now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got him, you've got Skubal, you've got the kid that threw the no-hitter.
Well, he's also out for the year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So,
but in general, I talked about it on the air. Talked about how Skubal's a guy who I roasted in the past, but he's been very good lately. Baltimore at a pick'em, they could be playing a AAA team. I wouldn't put them at a pick'em.
No.
The team's awful.
And Matt Harvey had pitched better lately. Actually, he'd been really good for what do you have 3 great starts in a row. And then he kind of turned back into 4.50 Matt Harvey.
I mean, he's okay, but at the end of the day, Baltimore can't really hit, and they can't pitch, and the bullpen's useless, so they don't really do anything well.
Other than that, they're pretty strong, and I like their chances.
Yes.
Yeah, these are two teams that were supposed to be just about as bad, and there is a large gulf of difference between the Tigers and the Baltimore Orioles. So, quick reminder to you guys, you are listening to Winners and Whiners Radio. Give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners, and we'll also give you a laugh if you look up the Nebraska uniform. So, Scott, I found a lot of interesting props, college football, but I think Southgate is putting out one of the most interesting props, and it gives you or South Point rather. I think I said Westgate and South Point. South Point. They give you 4 groups of NCAA football teams, and
It's 4 teams apiece in the group.
Different odds. Some of them have 5, Scott.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Some of them have 6.
Okay.
Wait a minute. They all have 6. So there are 18 teams, Scott. So let me see which one I can interest you in. At plus 225, you have the defending national champion, Alabama Crimson Tide, Texas, Iowa State, Miami, Penn State, and Cincinnati. Once again, plus 225 on that group. Who do you like there besides Bama? Anybody?
No. And just to reiterate, this is to win the national championship.
To win the national championship. That is correct. All right. At 4-1, you have Clemson, LSU, USC, Notre Dame, Florida, and Wisconsin. 4-1 there. Scott, anybody besides Clemson get your attention? I've heard good things out of the LSU practice. Is this going to be the year USC gets back in prominence? Or is this Notre Dame's year?
No.
Okay. You don't like anybody in that group?
No. No offense to my alma mater there in Wisconsin, but no.
Okay, good. And the favorite, Scott, minus 125 is Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia, UNC, Oregon, Texas, A&M.
So you might be wondering, why are they favored if Bama's not in there? And the answer is because you probably should get 2 to 3 teams into the playoff with that group.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really solid group from top to bottom, which is why they're the favorite by a decent margin. You get Ohio State in there. You end up getting Georgia. We know Georgia, even if they never beat Bama, they are still always extremely competitive in the SEC. UNC's probably, I don't call them a sleeper because they're probably the second best team in the conference. But if there was one team that was going to hypothetically dethrone Clemson in the ACC, I'm assuming you'd agree it would have to be North Carolina.
I don't hate Miami.
That's fair.
I think UNC has a better shot. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but as a whole, you got a lot of options. You said Oklahoma was in that group also, right?
Yeah, you get Ohio State and Oklahoma.
That's what I'm saying. So you're looking at potentially 2 teams in the playoff. If you're lucky, maybe 3 if Georgia pulls off some great season. So I can understand why. At the end of the day, am I taking anybody besides Bama to win? No. But instead of taking plus 230 whatever with Bama in the group, just take Bama by itself.
Yeah, plus 250 at Bet Online. I just looked it up. So you're not really getting – they're giving you – it's like when you have the 1A, 1A, 1B, 1C at the horse track. They probably all suck. So you're getting a lot of 1As here with Texas, Iowa State, Miami, Penn State, and Cincinnati.
It looks better when you're actually trying to watch multiple teams play for fun, but you're taking that side for Bama and for Bama alone. That's kind of just a given.
Now, if you want to absolutely set fire to your money, if you want to just light it with a match, you can take the field.
Play some craps and bet the field?
At 20-1. At much better odds in the field on a craps game.
Do you have any – yeah.
You and I talked about this yesterday, Scott. What do we decide the best team that's not on this list as far as the preseason ranking goes is Indiana?
I skipped over Indiana. I told you that I thought the team that had the hypothetical best chance from the field would be Washington.
Right.
Just because of the fact that they're in a Power 5 conference, kind of, because the Pac-12 for some reason still considered a Power 5.
Right.
I think Washington's got a good chance to win the conference. So if you think that they can maybe run the table and the Pac-12 is still overrated based on public perception, which they're not, but assuming that you still felt that way, I think Washington is worth maybe a sniff. But as a whole, you don't really get many Cinderellas in college football nowadays to win a title.
Nope. Not going to be Coastal Carolina. I wish it would. I wish it would, but it's not going to be. So, by the way, if you want to make that bet, 20-1, what I would prefer you do instead is just send your money to us. Scott, do we have any kind of a Patreon set up?
Not as of right now, but we can work something out if you want to bet this prop.
We could figure it out. And by the way, if you want to bet Washington to win the national championship, you can just send that money to me, Scott.
Curious, what is that price for Washington to win the title?
Well, that is an interesting question, Scott. And since I just happen to have those odds in front of me, let's
It's all about comparing it to what the field odds are.
I can tell you at Bet Online, they are 80 to 1.
Okay. And my question for you is, I mentioned Washington as the field team. I don't think they're going to make the college playoff, of course, but if you're talking about a long shot that maybe could, do you have a team that you'd think of that can maybe be worthy of part of the field but has a good chance to win, or not a good chance to win, but even just a sniff at 0.2% to win?
Outside of that group,
I mentioned Washington because they're in a Power 5, and that team, I think, has a good chance to win the Pac-12. But do you have another team, or do you agree with Washington with 0.001% to win?
I think Oklahoma State with that offense always has a puncher's chance to, especially to get out of the Big 12. If they can take care of business at Bedlam. And
I know Gundy's a good coach. Isn't he guaranteed to lose like 2-3 regular season games like every year?
Stupid teams. Absolutely. That's kind of what they do. And the other one I would take a look at is Utah at 80 to 1. So I can get OSU at 100 to 1. I can get Utah at 80 to 1.
Okay.
I don't hate, again, something I'm probably not going to play. But
point is, we're both looking at the Pac-12 because they still get some respect because they're still grouped in with a bunch of other conferences that are better than them.
Yep.
But maybe if one can run the table, you might get some momentum. But
I would think if you want to take a long shot, it ought to come out of the Big 12 or the Pac-12.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
All right, very good. Hey, speaking of the Big 12, Scott, Baylor football was really kind of given a slap on the wrist for their rampant misconduct on their, not just their sports team, Scott, but on the entire campus.
This is not institutional control. This is a lack of university control.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the institution. Yeah, it's that never made sense talking about a program. It should be program control, but this is actually institutional control. And one of the reasons cited, because they had, if you don't recall, they had rapes, they had alleged rapes, they had assaults, and they were unreported. Art Briles was accused of looking the other way.
You know it's bad when you have rapes and alleged rapes.
Right.
So
right. That's what I'm saying. So the NCAA could not act in saying the program was out of control, that it didn't have proper reporting measures in place and all that. Why? Because the entire university didn't have reporting procedures in place. The entire university didn't do what needed to be done. And therefore, there was no difference between the football team and what the rest of the college was doing. So they were unable to put any kind of penalties on them because, of course, they don't control anything outside of the sports aspect of it. So it was a scathing report, and the NCAA basically did nothing. They gave them a slap on the wrist for some recruiting violations.
But do you know what's more important than alleged rape allegations? Apparently, it's recruiting violations. Apparently, that's worse.
What and shot him an extra text? Oh yeah, we can't have that. Unbelievable.
It's a joke and a half.
It really is. It really is. We have to talk about it because it was a big piece of news, but it is so depressing that went on for so long, and just nobody cared, nobody believed them, just awful. So,
well, you could make the same argument that the NCAA also turned the other way when Michigan State had their huge scandal because Tom Izzo is still the coach.
Well, right. Well, I mean, that was in the athletic department, and
you had Adrian Payne, the former player, who ended up, I don't remember if he pleaded guilty or he was charged with another rape allegation once he went pro. You had a couple of issues at Michigan State as well, and nothing's happened to that program.
Right. Yep.
So it's sad, but it's the reality we live in, which is that the NCAA cares more about recruiting violations than disciplining universities that, let's just say, don't exactly provide women's safety as a huge priority.
Not happy. Not happy about it at all. It's hard for me to root for Baylor,
It's really a joke.
So, all right, very good. And of course, by the way, Scott, Baylor, of course, is a private religious institution.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So is the Catholic Church.
Anyway.
I don't know if I can say that on air, but I just did.
You just did. So, hey, let's talk about something a little happier, shall we? J.R. Smith, Scott, remember him?
Yes, I do. Anything is possible. Basketball
player, first-round pick, went right out of high school. You're familiar with his work. Well, Scotty wants to now continue his college career. How old is he?
He is old enough, apparently, to enroll as a freshman at North Carolina A&T.
He's what, 37, 38, something like that?
Definitely mid to late 30s.
He's going to enroll at North Carolina A&T, a historically black university, to hopefully play golf on the golf team, Scott. He did not have any college eligibility because, he did not use any college eligibility because he went straight from high school to the NBA. And, of course, this is what the NCAA specializes in, Scott, making these kind of decisions based on minutia, which they will come up with a way not to let him play, just to be the NCAA. So this is
that was the case. Sorry to interrupt. That was the case, but I'm assuming he would have been able to go back because he would have lost his amateur status because he was getting money to play in the pros. However, with the whole, agreements with the likeness and everything, now you can hypothetically earn in the past. So I don't know if that's going to change anything.
That rule changed, Scott. When I was younger, it used to be if you'd earned money playing any sort of professional sport, then you could not have your amateur status. But it changed because, you had, guys that have played minor league baseball and then, come back or played baseball and then come back to play football and things like that. So they've loosened those rules a little bit where you can still make money in another sport. So hopefully they'll do the right thing, because I think it'd be a hoot. I would watch the North Carolina A&T golf games, and I wouldn't say that before today. So they've got a fan. I'd like to see how he does. That's a great story.
I think the only thing that's stopping J.R. Smith is the fact that he has to wear a shirt while he plays.
Has to wear a what?
A shirt. Because if you remember the championship parade, he was constantly shirtless like the entire time.
I'd forgot about that. So, Scott, give us some of the highlights of his career. I know you're kind of an NBA historian geek, so tell us some of the highlights of J.R. Smith's career. He was good.
Yeah, he was a good player. Of course, his best years came in Denver and that brief stint with New York before he got his brother on the team as part of the contract, and they cut his brother about 2 days into the season because his brother wasn't that good at basketball. But when it comes to the main play of his career, for better or worse, it's the game one of the NBA Finals dribbling out the clock in a tie game. That's the one play that people are going to think of when they think of J.R. Smith's career, which is unfortunate, but it makes sense. But he was always a heat-check three-point shooter who used to be extremely, extremely athletic, and he was an entertaining player, but he was never a star by any means. Pretty solid NBA career.
I think they said he made $60 million over his career.
Yeah, and he won a title.
Yeah, that's. I call that a good life.
I'm assuming you'd agree, though, that when it comes to memorable plays of J.R. Smith, you have game one, not using a timeout, dribbling the ball out, and then some other play for play two that people can't think of. That's kind of it, isn't it?
That's about right. That's exactly right. So, all right. So that's that's a fun story. And as long as he doesn't just miss the putt on purpose because he thinks he already has it won, I think they'll be fine. It says he's a 4 handicap, Scott.
It doesn't surprise me. A lot of pro athletes are either A, bored when they're not playing basketball, or B, just good at sports, believe it or not, because they're quite athletic.
Yep, they absolutely are. Who was the guy that said if you gave him 90 days, he could play in the NHL?
Jalen Ramsey.
I understand NHL Twitter was not happy about that.
They were not. But I know that Anthony Edwards also has said that he's a great athlete. He could play baseball, could play any sport he wanted to. That was a really fun interview if you heard that during Summer League when asked if he's a good swimmer. And he said like Michael Phelps.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that quote. I didn't see the interview, but I read the story.
He's a really funny guy, Anthony Edwards.
Do you think he was being serious about being able to compete at that level in another sport?
I think in his mind he believes so because he thinks that he's a fantastic athlete, which I'm sure he is. I think that he could bowl. I think he could play any sport he wanted to because he's extremely athletic. But when you ask him and you have that disillusion that you can compete with the best of the best in every single sport, right. A, it's a good characteristic to have if you're going to be a franchise player. B, it also means you're a little bit delusional, and I think that's both can be the case in the situation.
I believe the list of people that could compete successfully in the 2 of the 4 major sports, I believe there's 3 people on that list. That'd be Jim Thorpe, Bo Jackson, and Deion Sanders. Scott, you anybody to add?
Those are the main ones. I mean, if you want to include college, you can talk about Russell Wilson with baseball, even Kaepernick in baseball with college. But
and
those are the 3.
Danny Ainge did play professional baseball and professional basketball. He wasn't a superstar at either, so that's why I left.
Charlie Ward.
Charlie Ward was another one, right? Although he didn't play. I don't think he played baseball after college.
No, but I'm saying that he played football, won the Heisman, then he went to basketball, and he played for the Knicks.
I'll tell you, there's one that you've probably never heard of that I actually spent time on the same team when he was a senior. It's Phil Bradley out of Mizzou,
Okay.
who was the quarterback there, and then went on to play the outfield for Seattle Mariners for 8-10 years.
Mm.
So, all right, there you go, guys, and stay tuned because on the other side, we're going to break down the NFC West and the AFC West, as well as bring you our favorite play in the Bet the Farm segment. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back. About 20 seconds. So whatever we did last night, timing-wise, it was perfect.
Sounds right. Was I supposed to stop the recording?
No. 10 seconds.
Cool. Shout out to all of you listening on YouTube.
Yeah. Seeing behind the scenes, guys. Cool, huh? All right, guys. Welcome back to the second half of Winners and Winers Radio. Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners, and that's what we're fitting to do right now, Scotty. Well, we've done the East. We've done the South. We've done the North. What's left, Scott?
Got to do the West.
Got to do the West, baby. The NFC and the AFC West. All right, let's start with the NFC, Scott. We'll save the best for last, shall we? Let me ask you a question. We talked about it yesterday on the show, and we talked about the possibilities of teams going worst to first. And for us, there was really only one team that stood out as the possible team that could do that. Scott, who was it?
49ers.
Absolutely. And the 49ers, in kind of a weird twist, 49ers are the favorite in that division. So
you could say a favorite. DraftKings has plus 180, Rams plus 190. So technically, but it's kind of a co-favorite situation. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think it is. That's you're getting plus money on either one of these teams, and this is probably. Is this the most wide open division where literally all four teams have a chance to win? I mean, Arizona probably almost certainly not going to win, but are they better? Is Arizona better than any other last place team?
Yes. Now, if you want to talk about the most open division, it's the NFC East because every team is so bad.
Right.
So when you're talking about all four teams having a shot to win, I'd go with the NFC East.
Okay.
Because if the Eagles, who have the greatest plus return to win the division, ended up pulling it off, I feel like people wouldn't be as surprised as they probably should be because the rest of the division teams are not very good. But the talent is here, which is why I think Arizona doesn't have much of a shot. But then again, we also can name a bunch of coaches we like more than Kingsbury. And after
I like Kingsbury. I know you're an.
Oh, sorry, I don't. You like him a little bit more than I do. But anyway, point is that after the Hail Mary win against Buffalo last year with Arizona and how Kyler Murray looked like he was going to lead the team to the playoffs, they imploded so fast down the stretch. I can't trust this team at all. So, no, I think Arizona's going to come in last. I think they'll be competitive, but I do think they'll win 7 games.
Okay.
Give or take. Mostly because of how good the other teams are. But Seattle's another one of those teams that we mention it every year. On paper, the team's not very good. And yet Russell Wilson and Carroll find a way to win 11 games every year. I don't know if it's, pixie dust, some kind of magic. I don't really know what the story is, but I feel like every game that's one possession, Seattle wins like 90% of them when most teams win about 50.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me? Because Seattle wins every game by like 3 points.
No, they do it. They do it with mirrors, Scott. I don't understand how it works. I don't understand how they do it, but yet there it is. So they've got the NFC West this year, by the way, matches up with the NFC North, and it looks like the AFC South. So kind of a mixed bag there. Should be some interesting games, Scott, between the the Rams and the Packers and things like that. So are you a believer in the Rams' new quarterback, Scott?
I definitely am intrigued because I know that we disagreed on Kingsbury. We also disagree for opposite reasons on the coach, Sean McVay, for the Rams, because I know you're not the biggest fan of him, or you think he's a bit overrated.
He's a bit overrated, yes.
I think he's tremendous, so we disagree on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think that we would both agree that Stafford is a lot better than Jared Goff. So are you willing to say that? Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, Goff just fell off the shelf, man. He was really good, and then he all of a sudden wasn't. So I'm willing to give. Now the problem that I have with Stafford is his durability. Because
I thought you were going to say the stat padding and the fact that against good teams he tends to be historically terrible. But
you know what? He plays for a terrible team, and terrible. Teams
yes, he did. Yes, he did
against good teams. So I'm willing to give him. I'm willing to give him a pass.
That's why I'm intrigued, because you can go through all the coaches he's had at Detroit, and now he has an actual coach. You might think McVay's overrated. You can agree with me; he's better than any coach that he's ever had in Detroit. Is that fair? Maybe you can make an argument Jim Caldwell, but I probably would think that McVay's better.
Was he there after Wayne Fontes?
Definitely the case.
All right, then yeah. All right, fine. My problem is, can you give me one Rams backup quarterback?
Is Sean Mannion still there?
Nope.
He's gone?
He's gone.
I thought it was a great guess because I know he was there for a while.
Not bad.
Very, very good preseason quarterback I've bet on in the past.
Nice.
Sean Mannion. But I don't even know who the backup quarterback is for.
Can I interest you in John Wolford?
Okay, Wake Forest.
Perhaps Bryce Perkins?
Okay, Virginia.
And Duck Hodges.
Nice. That's what happened to Duck Hodges? Yeah. I love that guy.
He's carrying the bench
in
Los Angeles. Yeah, he's currently 4th on the depth chart. So that's a huge problem if something happens to Stafford, and something will happen to Stafford. So
we also know that the roster is extremely top heavy because when you're paying Stafford that much money, you're paying Ramsey that much money, you're paying Aaron Donald that much money. Your team depth isn't exactly a strength.
No. I ultimately don't like this team.
I think the team's fine. I just wouldn't pick them to win the division.
No, I've got the Niners.
So do I. Of course, you can make an argument Garoppolo's not great, and I'm not going to argue with you because I don't think he is great. But the ground game for San Francisco is just so good.
Would you rather have the San Francisco defense or the LA defense?
I'm taking San Francisco. When healthy, I'll go San Francisco. I mean, I know that the secondary is a bit of a concern because Sherman's not there anymore and he had the injury issues and everything like that. But besides Donald, do the Rams actually have a great defensive line, or is it just only Aaron Donald who makes everyone else look better?
Well, that's a great question. And, until he gets hurt, you don't have to find out.
Correct.
That's always the question when you look at those guys and you try to gauge the talent around them. You're like, well, how much is it because the other guys are getting double and sometimes even triple team? So yeah, I'll tell you who I like, Scott. I like that safety for San Francisco. I like Tart.
Okay.
He's a guy that's always struggling to stay on the field too.
I'm a big fan of Warner, who I think is the most underrated linebacker in the entire league.
Yes. I don't know about the most underrated, but
I think he's one of them. And he got paid, which he deserved to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize how good he actually is. He's fantastic.
Yep, I agree with that. So our final order for this, I'm going to go San Francisco, Seattle, LA, Arizona.
Okay.
I almost went Arizona in front of LA.
The hardest part for me is going to be deciding second or third because I do think Seattle and Los Angeles are neck and neck with each other.
Okay.
I'm going with the 49ers. My bold call in the division, I think Trey Lance might start the majority of the games for San Francisco this season. That's my bold call.
Starts 9 games or more.
Yeah, that's my bold call for the season based on all of the momentum he's getting in training camp and everything. I think there's actually a decent chance he might win.
He's got heat, Scott.
He does. But
so I think it's going to be exactly what motivates Jimmy Garoppolo to take that next step and be the quarterback they always thought he was going to be.
We'll see. We know for a fact that Lance definitely has more athleticism, but I'm going to agree with you on order. I think Seattle will find another way through smoke and mirrors to win 10 or 11 games.
Right.
And you mentioned Stafford potentially getting injured. I'm not going to argue with you because he's gotten injured in the past, and it could happen again, especially with the pass rushers he's against.
Yep. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So, all right, Scott. Well, let's talk about the other division, shall we? It is the what are they again? Oh yeah, the AFC West.
Do we have to? I feel like we kind of know where we're going with this one.
Where are we going, Scott?
Herbert. No, we're going with Mahomes. Take me home, Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. It's I don't know. They have the longest odds of any team to win the division. And,
Minus 250 on DraftKings.
Yeah. Any value there?
Yes. I mean, if you're looking at the percentage chance of them to actually win the division, if Mahomes stays healthy, it's a wrap. At least that's how I'm looking at it. And they can make an argument with the Chargers, new head coach. Herbert maybe has another great year. Some people argue about the sophomore slump potentially happening. It's another coach and another coordinator. It's his second year. Are we sure Herbert's going to be able to just switch systems and look as sharp as he did his rookie season? Because I know, of course, he's very, very talented, but it takes some growing pains, doesn't it, when you change systems and you hear a different voice in the locker room every week?
I would think so. I would think so. I don't know how he clicked with the guy.
Win?
Yes.
They lost games, but he had fun, I guess.
Yes, that's what's important. Now, by the way, the AFC West this year, they are going to match up with the NFC East and the AFC North. So
Okay, well, that's half and half.
it's kind of good news on good news and bad news, right?
Yep.
How many wins did the Chiefs get out of those 8 games?
Oh, boy. I'm trying to think of who they'd lose to in those games because they kill Baltimore every year. 7.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably right. I think
they might win all 8, but I'll go 7.
Are they going to be favored in every game this year, Scott, if Mahomes is healthy?
They better be. If they're not, I'm taking Kansas City guaranteed.
The only question would be at Baltimore.
They're not playing Tampa this year, so yeah.
Well, they're not playing them in the regular season.
No, correct. But I'm saying that's the one team who I'd think would maybe at Buffalo.
Yep. And we have Buffalo at home, so
they'll be favored in that one.
Sure.
If Baltimore is favored in that game against Kansas City,
load up.
They're going to get mauled again because we've seen this. We've seen this script about what is it, the 3rd installment, 4th installment?
Yep. Kansas City. Pat Mahomes owns part of the Royals. He owns part of Sporting Kansas City. He owns a new franchise of Whataburgers, and he owns Lamar Jackson. Absolutely, well, you know what? Not just Lamar, but that entire team. This is a Kansas City team that traditionally has their way with Baltimore, especially in Baltimore, oddly enough. So, yeah, if they are not favored there, they absolutely should be. So we'll talk about the odds there, see if there's any other value, any other you might poke your head out and take a shot at. Kansas City minus 250, Chargers plus 500, Broncos plus 525, Raiders plus 1,400. Now, Scott, I will say this before we get rolling. Chargers and Broncos having just 25 cents of difference between them, it makes no sense to me.
I think the Chargers are a lot better.
Way better, exponentially better than the Denver Broncos.
Especially if a miracle situation occurs and Derwin James can play more than 3 games in a single season, then that team's defense should be a lot better as well.
Yeah, that's a team that has to shore up their secondary, and they had a lot of injuries last year. So
now, if you want to talk about the Chiefs being that big of a favorite and if it's worth it, the answer is yes. However, if you're getting cold feet, bet the Chiefs, bet the Chargers. You're making guaranteed money. Because if one team's going to win the division, it's not going to be Denver, and it's not going to be the Raiders.
Correct. Yes. Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater is not going to take them to the promised land. They may get better. Lock certainly has potential to get better. But in the Raiders, Scott, do
they still have the worst defense in the league?
Derek Carr came out yesterday and said that he wanted to play to 45 like Tom Brady.
I actually like Carr. I just think that the team around him defensively is so bad that his record has been underwhelming as a pro. But the defense is terrible. And didn't they trade about half their offensive line?
Not good. Will the Raiders make the playoffs ever under Gruden?
No.
I don't see it either.
The defense isn't good enough, and truth is, I don't know who's doing the drafting, Mayock or Gruden. They can't draft anybody properly in the first round.
Never could. Raiders have been traditionally awful at the first round.
Their best first-round pick in the last decade and a half was arguably Sebastian Janikowski. That wasn't even a first.
That was probably. Oh God, Scott, that was probably been 20 years ago. Maybe
correct.
25.
That wasn't the first. Was it? That wasn't the first round, right? That would have been crazy.
No, I think they took him in the third or the fourth.
No, I'm saying they took him in the third round.
They took him really early.
That's arguably the best pick they've had in the last 20 years, and it was taking a kicker early in the draft.
No, that's just sad, folks.
You're going through the recent years. Cleveland Ferrell, who was supposed to go around 25, ended up going top 6, top 7.
Mm-hmm.
He's underachieved. Their receiver from last year, out of all the choices, I said on the air he was going to go with Ruggs because Ruggs can go fast. And how'd that go? He got injured, and he can't do anything besides run a streak.
Yep.
So that's not working either. You got Darius Hayward-Bay 2.0. No, the team's not any good. Sorry.
All right. So just save your 14-1 money is what you're saying?
Yeah, so I'm saying take the 14-1 money and sprinkle it arbitrage style on Chiefs and Chargers, and you should make guaranteed money in about 5-6 months.
Yep. And just to explain that, you cover yourself if the Chiefs win, and if the Chargers win, of course, you get 5-1. You've laid $250 on the Chiefs, but you're still making a profit there. So,
yep.
Oh, good call on the ARB there, Scott. A quick reminder to everybody that you are listening to Winners and Whiners Radio. Give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners. Well, Scott, we've just laid out some football winners for the gang. Let's shift gears a little bit and take a look at today's baseball card. And of course, it is Getaway Day, Part 2, which means a whole lot of games, Scott, going on in the afternoon. But there are some interesting night contests, including If You Build It, He Will Come. The Field of Dreams game, Scott. Are you psyched?
I'm thrilled. I get to see the Yankees throw out Andrew Heaney in a nationally televised game on Fox against the favorite to win the AL Cy Young Award. Thrilled.
Should go well. Andrew Heaney made 2 fantastic starts so far with the New York Yankees, giving up 8 runs in 10 innings.
Yeah, I'm sure Heaney has the element of surprise because he never used to face the White Sox when he was with, the Angels over the last, decade and a half.
Faced him first game of the season, Scott. How'd it go?
No, I believe it didn't go well.
3 innings pitched, 7 runs.
Yep, not good.
It did not go well. So I told you off air that my buddy tried to entice me earlier in the week to go to the game. He had found a couple of tickets. Scott, any guess how much tickets were to the Field of Dream game?
$140.
$140?
I have no idea.
$1,100.
Okay. I forgot. I forgot to add a 0 at the end of it.
Yes, correct. Well, they have very limited seating. I think
I forgot to factor that in.
Yeah, I think it only seats maybe 12,000, 10,000.
I was imagining bleachers, and I forgot that there was corn in the outfield where the bleachers were supposed to be. Right, man. You're hitting it into the corn. Mm-hmm. So I would have really enjoyed going, but no. I'd save my money for a Super Bowl ticket.
Not $1,100. Yes. Well, the problem is
you have to save it up for a couple of times, but you get my point.
Yes, absolutely correct. It would have been fun, but unfortunately, I just don't have the $1,100 to throw away at this point. So.
By the way, can you just give me a brief reminder? Andrew Heaney pitches from which side?
Oh, he's a lefty, Scott.
I'll go with the White Sox.
Yeah, even though the White Sox haven't dominated lefties the way they have in the past, they are still 20-13 against the Southpaws this season. So,
and you got Wynn on the mound on the other end. Plus, half the Yankees either have COVID or are injured.
Other than that, but Scott, they won 2 out of 3 from the Royals. Aren't they hot?
Sure. I guess good for them. They beat up on Brady Singer.
Oh, so Scott, we get because it's a day game. We don't get to fade Fultonevich. What's up with that?
Damn shame.
It is a damn shame. So let's talk about the games that we actually have an opportunity to bet on.
There's not many.
No, there isn't. How about this Colorado-San Francisco game? Colorado on the road. You know how they do on the road, Scott?
Not good.
Not good at all. And they are fantastic. They're only 11 games under 500. Would you have guessed that?
No.
Judging of all the horrible games Colorado's played this season, they're 11 under. They're going up against the San Francisco Giants. Giants rolled over Arizona last night in a game that I actually had. Took a shot on the.
Don't say which side you had. You can save yourself some dignity.
Yeah, I know. Well, too many people heard me make it, Scott. So
yeah, that's fair enough.
It didn't go well. This is going to be Logan Webb going for the Giants against Herman Marquez. for the Colorado Rockies. Of course, the Giants are favored. It opened up at minus 154. Money has streamed in on the Giants, but it has been a steady trickle. Odds are now about minus 170 on the G-Men. 7.5 is your total. It's where it opened, and that's where it stands. What do you got here?
I don't want to sound lazy, and I know that Marquez is pretty good, but how are you supposed to take Colorado ever on the road against the best team in baseball?
I don't know, Scott. I don't know how that will work. I think this is actually one of those prices that seems to be a bit of a bargain.
I think it might be. If you want to make an argument for the Rockies, I would say take first 5 because we know the Rockies bullpen stinks. But the Giants find ways to win games. So I can't take the run line because I think the Rockies might keep it close if Marquez throws a gem. But they can't win on the highway. It's really insane. They sweep the Marlins over the weekend, score about 95 runs in 3 games, go back on the road, 0 runs, 1 run. That's just impressive stuff.
Yeah. The other problem is Marquez has faced the Giants twice this year.
Not good.
Not good. First one went okay. He went 5 2/3, 6 hits, 3 earned. Not ideal. However, that looked like a no-hitter compared to the second time when he gave up 6 hits, 8 earned, 2 walks, no home runs, Scott, which is incredibly impressive. How long did it take him to do that?
2 innings?
2/3 of an inning.
Okay, that's even worse.
Didn't make it out of the first. So
that'll hurt the ERA.
Past performance not always indicative of future performance. However, in this case, it looks like the Giants have figured out something out against German Marquez. Again, he's on the highway, and we like him much better at home, even though he has pitched well on the road. 2 of his last 3 starts have been okay, but I'm just talking now, Scott, because we've all over the Giants here. Giants run line, you care about that?
I'm not going to take it. If I liked it, I was going to take Giants just money line itself or maybe Rockies team total under.
Okay.
Just because this team can't hit on the highway, but I think the Giants are going to win the game.
All right. Very good. What else you got, buddy?
I'm looking at the Blue Jays and Angels matchup there with Berrios against Ohtani on the mound. Total's 8.5. Blue Jays are around minus 130. I like the first 5 under. I just like both starting pitchers in this spot, and that's kind of the only – that's really it. That's really the main logic I have for that one. You?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid. I probably don't have as much faith in Berrios as you do, but
that's fair.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Isn't Ohtani very, very solid at getting no run support at all for about the first 5 innings of every start he has?
It's kind of his deal. Yeah, it really is. You're getting a good price there on Los Angeles. I mean, sure, Toronto can absolutely bop, but they've been a little cold lately.
Yeah, that's fair.
They broke out a little bit yesterday, but they were kind of struggling the games prior to that. And so, yeah, there might be some decent value there if you wanted to play Ohtani and the Angels at plus 115. I don't hate that.
Yeah, I'm looking at a 4.5 first 5. I think that's tempting enough for me to take it for the under.
Okay, all right, good enough. And
I think that's it.
So many games I'm interested in that
we can't talk about.
Yeah, what did we decide? You're gonna lay the wood with Chicago?
Yeah.
With the
Either
White
that
Sox.
or team total or something. I just don't think the Yankees are going to win.
Team total over 5.5 will play. You play the run line at plus 108. That'll play.
The White Sox, if they score 5 runs or 12 runs with Heaney on the mound, you shouldn't be that surprised, especially since the Yankees did a bullpen game yesterday.
Yeah.
Not many arms available out there.
No, normally we'd suggest playing a first 5 run line in an advantageous situation like this, but the Yankees bullpen's so bad.
I know La Russa's not going to be there because he's attending a funeral, so he's not going to be there. But does that really matter in this case? I don't think so because the White Sox are just a really good baseball team.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Scott, well, let's take a look and see what we've got cooked up, shall we? You and I have put our heads together. We've come up with our favorite play of the day. This is the one where everybody says, well, what do you like best today? Well, we have answered that question for you. Time to strap on those little red overalls, put on your straw hat, climb on that John Deere, and let's get ready to bet the farm. Scott, how did we do yesterday?
We had the Cardinals on the run line, and they won 4-0. So nice and easy win.
Hard to win when you don't score, everybody. Very nice. Very nice indeed. All right. Well, we're going to try to make it 2 in a row and 5 of our last 6?
Feels that way.
All right. I think that's actually right. So, yeah, we won 4 or 5. So we're ready to rock and roll. Let's take a look. One game we didn't mention, Scott, that's going to be the San Diego Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks. We are going to play the Padres on the run line, catching tremendous value here, Scott, as DraftKings has it, and the money line at -210. Padres, the visiting team, -1.5 is -120. He's got 90 cents worth of value for the visiting team on the run line. Scandalous and unheard of, and I like it. The Diamondbacks have lost each of their last 4 games. Padres have won 4 of 5. 3 of those 4 wins have come by the required 2 runs or more. Taylor Widener is pitching for Arizona, and you know what he is, Scott?
Not good at home.
Not good at home. In fact, at home this season with that desert cooking, 8.36 ERA. He has not gone longer than 5 innings in an appearance since April. And Scott, the Arizona bullpen got some use yesterday as Merrill Kelly was not good.
It's also just not a good bullpen.
Nope, and it's not a good bullpen to start with. Meanwhile, Yu Darvish, he's pitching for San Diego. He's pretty good. His stats at night, Scott, loves to pitch at night. 84 innings, 6-3 record, 3.11 ERA. That, my friends, is going to be a wrap for us. We like the San Diego Padres -1.5 on the run line, -120 over there at DraftKings against the hapless Arizona Diamondbacks.
When in doubt, fade bad teams.
Absolutely correct. All right, guys, and that is going to do it for the show today. As always, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching. Don't forget to drop us a comment. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on our podcast format on all your favorite podcast platforms. Download and like, subscribe, all that stuff there. And for myself and for Scott Reichel, for the whole team over here at Winners and Winers, appreciate you checking us out today. Wish you nothing but the best. We'll see you tomorrow on Winners and Winers Radio. Take care, everybody.